Hey there, and welcome back to Brothers of the Arcana. I am, as always, Alex Aldea.
I am also, as always, Dave Ferrigno.
As always.
Brothers of the Arcana Podcast.
What does it say on your shirt, Dave Ferrigno?
Yippee-ki-yay.
Oh, it says Yippee-ki-yay from the number one holiday movie of all time, Die Hard. And yes,
Exactly.
and I am wearing these glasses because we're going to be talking about some alien stuff today. So,
Yes.
Dave has prevailed upon me to change our usual format of the show to discuss some current topics rather than ancient history and such. So we're going to be talking about, what are we talking about today, Dave?
Well, there's been a huge influx of news recently here in New Jersey. There's been drones flying everywhere, mostly over Morris County. Some have been flying in other areas like Somerset. There's been drones over Bedminster, which was where Trump National is located. Picatinny Arsenal, which is still Morris County, and I think also technically Sussex County it goes into as well, part of the base there where they do testing. But there's just so many things floating around right now. Everybody's like, are they UFOs? Are they drones? What is it? Why are they flying over here constantly? There's this rhetoric that, oh, the FBI is now involved. There's other agencies that are involved. They're asking law enforcement saying, please report this. And I kid you not, if you look at Ring around here, everybody's posting these videos saying, God, look at all these drones. There's 10 of them. There's 8 of them. There's 6 of them. They're flying over my house. God forbid. What the hell's going on? So that's what we wanted to sit here and debunk today because, frankly, it doesn't seem like it's aliens, guys. And
Hang on a second. Hang on. Pull the bus over to the side of the pretentious turnpike, as the Dennis Leary will say. We don't know that it's not aliens. Hang on. The whole point is
fair.
We're going to talk about this. We're going to bunk it today. We're not debunking anything.
Alrighty, fine.
So there's drones flying over. I know nothing about this, but I'm happy to weigh in as any American would. Yeah.
I have video from last night that I filmed. There was actually about 6 drones over Lake Parsippany, which is right around, a couple miles from me. And I was actually looking out last night around, say 9:30. There was definitely a drone hovering overhead by Powder Mill, which is, in Parsippany. But my feeling, and obviously, I think we need to use some logic here. Let's
do we though?
First, right?
Do we?
Well, I think we should. So, first of all, who's the elected president coming inbound? Number 47, Donald J. Trump, right?
Yes.
President Trump previously,
Donald J. Trump.
In his past administration, he was using Morristown Municipal Airport primarily so he wouldn't interrupt Newark flight traffic. Now, if anybody's familiar with Newark Airport, it is obviously constantly mayhem over there. Typically, the pattern into Newark, they use 22 left predominantly. Sometimes they'll shift to 4 right for landings. So they have what they call stars, which is the terminals. That's your direction of, how all these flights are coming in. And so they have Flocy, they have Filbo, there's the Pens too. So if you actually look, Filbo Waypoint is over Mount Freedom, New Jersey.
I'm a big fan of Filbo specifically. Yes, absolutely.
Well, especially for Modern Family, Filbo is great, right?
Yeah, I cannot tell you how many times I've said that.
Absolutely. But if you look at it, Newark Airport's 13 nautical miles from Morristown Municipal. So in order for them to land at at Morristown Airport, whenever the 757 that Air Force One, when Trump's on board as president, typically would come right over Morris County. So what I would posit is these drones are actually being flown for security measures and surveillance. So they're looking at any kind of other potential threats. What's actually in the area? Do people have weapons? Are there anything that's potentially going to affect our president? And especially once he lands at Marstown Municipal, typically they might have helicopters or they might have a motorcade that goes down to Bedminster. It's not that far. I've witnessed both the motorcade and also the previous, in his administration, all the different helicopters doing the dance, taking off from the airport. So that way nobody knows who's actually on board, which is a fantastic thing. Obviously, we want to protect the lives of our elected officials and anybody really. Whether you're on Team Trump or not, it doesn't matter, right? It's like you still want to obviously safeguard the individuals. All right. Alex is calling for a timeout.
Yes, I did. Take a breath, for God's sake. I've never heard you speak this much on the show ever. This is good. This is good, though. Now, listen, what part of this, that doesn't make sense to me, because if drones were done as a security feature to amplify, let's say, the security on these flights, the FBI would be involved, the local police would be involved, all of the various things would be spoken about, which they clearly are not, because these people are wholesale looking at us saying, what is this about? Please report it. Why would they be starting a panic? I mean, unless this is like a War of the Worlds kind of thing where Orson Welles is going to get on the radio and create, a fake panic about aliens invading. I don't think that's what they're going for. So, what do you have to say to that, Mr. Ferrigno?
Well, what I would have to say to that is the government always transparent with the U.S. citizens and the people? Let's go back November 13th. We just had a congressional hearing on UAPs, right?
Yes, we did.
They were talking about UAPs and also submersibles.
Yes.
Now, in that hearing, they were discussing how, I
wish they'd talk about dirigibles too. I'm a big blimp fan, but yes.
Well, I think after the Hindenburg crashed and, especially here in New Jersey, we've had some.
Oh, the humanity. Yes.
Yes, exactly. But with that being said, there's always, we could talk about this off the record. We can't state this to the public. I mean, there's so much evidence out there. The UAPs obviously have existed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying clearly there's been UAPs. Clearly there's interdimensional beings and UFOs and whatever you want to call it.
I agree.
But I think in this case, just looking at it, these drones are hovering for 12 plus hours at times. That's not some enthusiast just flying their personal drone at home. And, clearly it has to be something government related because nobody really has that technology otherwise. Now, in terms of the alphabet agencies and being informed, let's be honest, there's no transparency half the time. So they might sit there and say, please report it. Law enforcement probably isn't being kept in the loop. If we go back to July, let's be honest, even boots on the ground in Pennsylvania, they were not informed of certain things that were being warned.
Like a shooter
assassination attempt
that might be wanting to shoot the president,
like somebody crawling,
or the future president,
somebody crawling across the roof. Right, exactly. So there's definitely, I think there's been some transparency issues there, and hopefully, as we evolve as a society here, maybe we can start getting the truth, and we know the truth is out there.
We do believe. I choose to believe that the truth is out there. And until next time, I am Mulder and you are Scully. But
and would you posit any hypothesis?
Oh, there you go, positing again.
There's no transparency.
Absolutely. I would tell you that, much like Giorgio said, there is much evidence that, and over quite a lot of time, and even going back to ancient times, I mean, we've seen things that look like launch pads. We've seen things that look like runways, ancient runways. We've seen unexplained and unexplainable architecture, design, understandings, vast and futuristic understandings of astronomy, of a cosmology, of the understanding of the heavens, way before they had the technology, at least according to the popular narrative, they had any sort of technology to be able to harness or even detect what's happening around them. So I would tell you that, honestly, it's got to be aliens in my mind. I don't think it just doesn't make sense. I mean, I understand we could go down the whole conspiracy rabbit hole of, as you say, the alphabet agencies and what they may or may not be telling the populace and what the ultimate end game may be and other stuff. I tend to shy away from that stuff because humans being humans, the truth will out. What I'm much more interested in and more concerned about on some level is, what do you do, as Eric Mattson told us in the first episode, like, what do you do when you have an alien, let's call him an alien, or a being that's not extraterrestrial, but extra dimensional, where they function on just so many more facets than we do, and we're basically a line drawing on a piece of paper to them. Like, what do you even do in that case? How do you even begin to try to tell yourself that it's okay, that oh yeah, we could deal with whatever threat comes? Clearly we can't.
No, and
if that's true.
Frankly, in that congressional hearing, they were comparing an F-16, I think it was, or was it an F-18? I think it was an F-16, or it could have been an F-18. I might be mistaken, but they were saying that these objects, the UAPs, can change direction. It would be thousands of Gs. It would instantly kill a human being. Essentially, the airframe on an F-18 or F-16, whatever they were referring to in that congressional hearing, they were saying they might pull 17 Gs before the airframe just completely disintegrates. Right. Where you're causing just structural damage, the thing's not going to function anymore. So how are these crafts able to go at thousands of Gs? And to that point, I don't think any weapons technology or anything we have, I don't think there's any defense against this type of interdimensional being if it really came down to it. So I don't think there's going to be this invasion or war of the worlds. If that was going to happen, we don't stand a fighting chance. It's like we might as well just sit back and smoke a cigar and relax and watch the show, right?
I remember this Stargate episode. I don't know. Did you ever watch Stargate, the series? And they had this one thing, and they said the Goa'uld, which were the pyramid flying space monsters that would invade humans, like their bodies as sort of like these little sneaky things. They were about to invade the planet, and some of the other aliens that were on our side were saying, "What do you have that you could help us with?" And I think the guy who used to play MacGyver, who played the main guy on there, goes, "We have the shuttle." And the guy looked at him and goes, "Is that a fearsome craft?" He goes, "Not really."
Exactly.
It was just it just goes to show you, like, look, do we have lasers on Elon's satellites? I don't know. Maybe he does. I hope so. In case something happens and something comes from out, he's like, pew, 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 pew. And it'd be like Centipede. Or Galaga. Yeah. But if he's got it, bully for him. I hope he does. I really do. Outside of that, I mean, he's got most of the satellites, so you got to think.
Yeah, with Elon, you never know, obviously, and
never know.
I don't know. My thought, honestly, and I'm saying it. I think it's actually the Secret Service flying satellite or flying these drones. They're just doing surveillance. They're making sure for the upcoming presidency, everything's safe and secure around here, because obviously there have been multiple attempts on the life. Whether I'm right or not, we'll find out. Maybe if we ever get some transparency, and maybe we won't.
So,
maybe it'll just all go away. And my thought is they've been mostly flying at night, right? And I think my feeling, and again, I could be absolutely wrong, but I believe because of general aviation, there's obviously VFR flight rules, which is visual flight rules. With navigational lights, they'd be able to see these craft hovering at night. They've been at pretty low altitudes, it seems like. They're definitely below the flight pattern going into Newark Airport. If anybody lives in northern New Jersey, you know how congested this sector is. Even if you live in New York or wherever else, you look everywhere, there's a plane someplace.
Yeah.
Whether it's Teterboro, Morristown Airport,
general
aviation, going to JFK, LaGuardia, there's planes everywhere. So With that being said, I feel they're probably flying them mostly at night, and they're doing it because at least then there's some visibility. Because during the daytime, to see a drone flying in the sky, I've seen a couple Predator drones in person flying, and you really can't make them out in the sky. So I'm not saying they're Predator drones, but I think they're doing some kind of surveillance, and just wave to them and say hello. Make sure you don't shoot them or whatever else, because that is a federal offense, and you will end up going to prison for that. So we do not suggest that.
No, we don't suggest you shoot anything as a matter of course. However, it may or may not be a federal offense if they are in fact alien technology and not federal Predator drones at all. So I would posit, if I were asked to do so, and you did, so I will, that they are in fact some sort of alien technology, as a possible spy force vanguard for invasion. And no, I'm kidding. I don't think they're going to invade. But I do think that, they're checking us out. They're wanting to know what's up. There's all these C5 interactions and other things that relate to that I think are very plausible. And I hang my head on this theory on just saying that if these agencies wouldn't have told the public, but they would have told law enforcement. They would have told other things, other agencies, as a matter of course, like they would in any other operation or thought. Why would this be any different? It just doesn't make sense. So I'm thinking it's either, a lot of civilian drones, which I don't think would happen because that would get shut down almost right away, or it's got to be something extra dimensional or extraterrestrial. That would be my thought.
Personally, I don't think it's definitely not personal drones, because I have a DJI drone. I'm not pitching the company or anything else. I just own a DJI drone. I know, because I live in proximity to Morristown Airport, I cannot fly my drone over here. The moment I turn it on, it says I'm in restricted airspace. I'd have to get approval from the tower, request it through the portal, and even with that, I might be restricted to say 30 feet, 50 feet. I'm not flying consumer drones, Part 107. It's 400 feet above ground level. No. So AGL. So basically, if you're flying, say you're on top of the Empire State Building and you had authorization to fly, right, you could fly 400 feet above the Empire State Building, because that's the tallest point that you're hovering from. But with that being said, I don't really think that's the case. Now, obviously, well, here's a question I have for you then. Do you think that if we weren't informed and law enforcement wasn't in the know or anything else, and right, even the military, right, do you think these craft could be hovering over Picatinny Arsenal right now, which they've been spotted? Because Picatinny's a military base where they do testing, of all kinds of weapon testing and other stuff, right? So I would imagine if you had a drone flying over there,
that's a good question,
the military would at least try to intercept it, right?
Well, if they could. So the question is wait, they look like drones, right? They act like drones to some extent. Are they drones? That's the first question. Or are they some other type of technology that somewhat resembles what we think of as drones, right? So when Columbus,
or from that perspective, maybe
right,
it's aliens creating drones that look like our drones, but they're actually alien in nature.
Well, so think about what happened when the original, I forget if it was Columbus or Cortez. We'll just say it's Cortez. But when he pulled up on the Aztecs and they saw the ships off the coast for the first time, a lot of them could not see the ships because they could not conceive of something that their mind completely didn't understand as being part of their paradigm, right? So literally some of the people at least could not see the ships off the coast. Some could, some couldn't. Where they asked this guy when he pulled up the shore in a boat, like, where'd you come from? And he goes, the ships. You go, what ships? So the question is, in our mind, in what we're taught to see and what we know of as our paradigm, right? Something that's paradigm breaking, maybe only a very small amount of the people could see it. The other ones just fill in. They fill in that space in their minds with something that's familiar, like a drone, for instance, or something that would behave or act sort of in that way. So, you know, it's certainly possible that these aren't drones at all. In fact, they could be something completely different. And I think that if the guys at Picatinny could catch them, they would, assuming that it's not something that already is approved by them governmentally. So, you know, following my theory right down the rabbit hole, I would say that they're not, in fact, drones. They're something that's completely alien, so alien that we replace it in our minds with drones as a concept. And we then you know, report that to the news because that's what we can say about it. Language is limited, right? Even art is limited in what we can do. There's ephemeral things in the world that you catch when you become part of you know, a break in consciousness, like what Eric Ireland was talking about when you have a Ken show. Or a Satori experience where you literally break through your ego. There's a feeling, and sometimes you catch it with psychedelics and other stuff, but there's a feeling that's absolutely indescribable. You're literally at one with everything in the universe. How do you put that into words? Same with something that might be extra dimensional. It's so far above what we're used to. How do you put that into words or images? And they're then able to explore it. So that's my thought.
Well, absolutely. And I think even Carl Petrie on our last show was talking about Stonehenge, where he felt that Stonehenge might actually be maybe a launch pad or a landing pad for alien craft.
Very possible. Or used to be.
Now,
at least.
I'm not denying, if you look at recently at Manchester Airport, there was that UAP that was spotted. It was, you know, basically looked like a ball. They've done recreations of it. It's all over X and other places. There's obviously been a lot of chatter in Arizona, other places, Texas, I believe. So I'm not denying there's definitely UAPs that keep getting spotted. I've recently watched a Netflix series with George Knapp, you know, where they were going out on the ocean and out in the Pacific, they're seeing all these submersibles that they keep, you know, and they drop from the sky, go into the water, come right back out. And you know, in that congressional hearing, they talked about how those submersibles are exponentially faster than any craft we have in existence on Earth today. So, you know, it begs the question, what's in the ocean? What's actually out there? Because clearly we haven't explored most of it. And then you get into Antarctica and other places. And even Carl Petrie alluded to the fact that when he's remote viewed and looked at the backside of the moon, he said it would essentially scare civilization. And we'd realize, I think there was some merit to what Eric Mattson said on our first episode. Why did we never go back?
What could it be? I mean, let's think on that. I mean, if it is alien bases, or if it's like scaffolding that just holds the moon in the sky in the what do they call that thing? That the firmament. Then and this is all just a big Hollywood show that's directed by whoever, then you know, that would be pretty scary too, considering that we've just been lied to on such a deep level that it's like crazy. So look, it could be government, it could be aliens, it could be citizens. I think those are the three prevailing theories of what these things could be and might be. We don't know. I mean, we're exploring ideas based on the guests that we've had and the stuff that we've been able to glean and sort of put together. But I'm gonna, you know, if I had to hold a flag up and say, hey, it's this, I would say it's aliens, because that's the fun theory.
Well, my flag for New Jersey currently, it's not aliens. I think it's the Secret Service or some other government agency like the NSA or whoever else. And I believe that some of these other craft elsewhere potentially could be alien in nature or interdimensional. Now, when you get into the TR-3B, because there's been some pictures that have surfaced recently, it looks like triangles floating in the sky, which we know there's patents for the TR-3B. We know that's man-made. Eric Mattson talked extensively about that on our first podcast. And, I do think from Pennsylvania over to here, it's very plausible the TR-3B might be in the mix. But, I do not deny in any way, shape, or form, because I'm a firm believer that there's definitely interdimensional beings in UFOs, the reptilians, the grays, what have you. There's definitely aliens out there.
Coming over here and there, Mark Cabas trying to take our jobs. Right. Absolutely.
Exactly. Those scumbags.
They took your jobs. Yeah.
And no, we're not referring to any race of Americans, humans, whatever else. It's like, we're not saying it's the Mexicans coming across the border or anybody from South America or whatever.
No,
we're not insinuating that. Just please don't take
just intergalactic aliens that don't belong here. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Or maybe they do. And if we go back to Zachariah Sitchin, right? And we start throwing out those, did the Anunnaki create us? Whatever else. I mean, there's so many different things in play here, right?
David, we're just a hybrid client race, and we're just trying to get by, do the best we can, much like the Duke boys in the
yep,
yeah, except minus the General Lee, because that's racist. Yeah,
apparently. I loved the General Lee growing up.
Well, I like the fact that they changed the Confederate flag with the American flag in the movie. I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I certainly think that was the case. And, it's interesting because Tom Wopat's actually from West Milford, right?
Yes, I believe so.
A lot of people realize that. He's from West Milford, New Jersey, if I recall correctly. And I think he just celebrated a birthday recently.
West Milford looks like Alabama. So, it's kind of
true story.
They got some.
There's nothing against the folks in West Milford.
It's lovely West Milford. I've been there. I shot a movie there. One of the cabins, which is pretty cool. But it is a rustic setting, I will say.
In the Woods?
Cabin in the Woods. Yeah. Oh, what a great movie that was. Wasn't that an awesome movie?
Oh, that was a fantastic movie.
Yes. Anyway, we're diverging. So
yeah, we're
digressing.
All right.
So
you guys heard it first.
Yes.
Alex staking his claim. It was an alien here in New Jersey. I'm saying it's a government agency flying these drones. And I think hopefully the truth will come out one day, and we'll see. And we won't have to wear our tinfoil hats.
We don't even have any. We didn't make any today, but we'll make some for next time, maybe. We'll see, depending on the guest.
I know.
All right.
It's just too cold out. My bald head is freezing.
His bald head is freezing. You heard it here first, folks. Until next time, we are Brothers of the Arcana, and I am Alex Aldea.
I am co-host Dave Ferrigno. Thank you for joining us today. God bless, and happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays.